Yo, what is good, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83, and we are back with another episode of Talking Movies. I'm joined by my co-host, Varangian Vigilante. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, doing well. Friday, talking about one of my favorite movies. So,
Yes,
what
the Hunt for Red
better?
October. But before we get into that, we want to give a special shout out to a special friend in the comic book community, and we want to talk about Jennifer. Comics will break your heart. She is still going through her struggles with cancer, and she had a recent post where she's laid up in the bed, but she still has a smile on her face, and she's still reading comics and she's watching wrestling. So, please, if you can, donate to her GoFundMe. It's in my bio on Instagram, Puff Comics 83, and help out Jennifer. She's an amazing member of this comic book community. So much love to her.
She also has a really dark humor, so we also have to keep that one going. So, if you can, donate, and also can go on your Instagram and also leave her a nice comment. I'm pretty sure she will be very thankful about it, and it will give her a good feeling.
Yes, she is much deserved in this community.
Yeah.
All right, so now it is time to talk The Hunt for Red October. This movie is one of those films. When I watched it when I was younger, it really put me on the Tom Clancy material, and he's written a bunch of books. Some of them I have read, and then of course a lot of his stuff became video games in the 2000s. A lot of Warcraft, and all that stuff.
Yeah, when I was in business school, with my friends, we every day after school we played Rainbow Six.
Oh man, Rainbow Six.
Yeah, that game was. I actually played it again a few months ago because you can still get it on Steam and it works there, and I think it's still the best military shooter, a special ops shooter.
Yes.
Because I just love that the hit detection is so good that you can really one-shot somebody with a headshot, but also the armor when you shoot somebody that's still there.
And I love the tactical advantages with your team, and to me that really set it apart from all the others, where you can maneuver your teammates to go into this section and stuff and set up an ambush and stuff. I love the Rainbow Six series.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I want to play it again. Luckily, got it on Steam.
Series, he had so many stuff that became video games and war, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
So Tom Clancy's name was big.
He was the biggest victim of when the Cold War ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this is what the Hunt of Red October takes place in, right smack dab in the Cold War. And one of the things about the film is that it deals with spies, submarines, espionage, and defections, and that was major in the Cold War.
Absolutely, and I think also that this movie is the one who really juggles all of these topics so perfect. It's a perfectly even movie, and every time when I'm watching it again, I'm always forgetting how many fantastic actors are in this movie. Some even in very minor roles. When I watch it again, oh yeah, Tim Curry is in it.
And I one thing I love about the character he plays is that he's very wanting to be the person to tell, we need to notify command of what happened to Putin. And right then and there, you kind of see the little distrust between the commander and him, because now when they find out that they have a saboteur, they immediately kind of not say that he's the one, but they kind of send him out the room, because we don't want him to know what we're actually planning. And then he's the one that they kind of leave out on certain details.
Oh my God, like an authoritarian regime like the Soviet Union had, distrust. How can this happen?
And I also love how the Russians, the ambassador, spins
Oh
it
yeah,
around where he knows that the commander is defecting, but he's like, I need that whole submarine, like
exactly.
because we can't let that go to the Americans and him defect over.
So of course he tries to sell the stories like he's like a rogue military general officer, admiral, and he's like he has nuclear weapons and he wanna start a nuclear war. So I think that's like such a fantastic portrayal of everybody, because everybody plays the role so well. And I think that one of the little mistakes of the movie, I would love it that as part of the audience who sees it, that we might be kept a little bit longer in the dark whether or not he wants to defect or start a nuclear war. I think that would have added a little bit more tension. I mean, there's plenty of tension in this movie, but I think this would have been like the cherry on top. But otherwise, it's so, like I said in the pre-show, it's so funny that this is like an almost perfect movie, and it's still only the second best submarine movie, because the German movie Das Boot is even better. But nevertheless, like I already talked about, like so many fantastic actors, and of course the reason why we're talking it this week is actually a sad one, because James Earl Jones passed away like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, like his admiral career is, I think he's like he's a little bit of like the heart of the movie.
Yeah, even with like he's not in a whole lot of scenes, but the scenes he's the backbone for Jack Ryan,
exactly.
Especially when he comes in later on and say, that torpedo hit and I wasn't here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see the ring on his finger. It's like, that's the presence of a commander and trying to help his running mate. So yeah, James Earl Jones was fantastic in his role.
Yeah. And then of course, like I think Alec Baldwin is still the best one who ever played Jack Ryan. I think it was a big mistake to go for Harrison Ford in the second and third one. But of course, like it's so funny. There's so many reasons noted online why Alec Baldwin didn't come back, or why they didn't get him back. But they always say the most reason for was the money, that he wanted more money, and then the studio said, for that money we can also get Harrison Ford, which they wanted originally to cast for Hunt for Red October. But Harrison Ford didn't like that Sean Connery's character had more screen time than his one.
It's Sean Connery.
Yeah, and of course, Sean Connery will never ever change his dialect for any role.
Ever.
So you of course got a Russian admiral with the best Scottish accent.
And remember, this is like coming off the late 80s where Sean Connery was coming back on top of things, with the Untouchables. And then he was with Harrison Ford in the last Crusade.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing what happened in that film is why Harrison didn't want to be in this one.
But I still say that I think Alec Baldwin, you can, whatever opinion people might have of him, I still think he's a fantastic actor. He's my favorite part in 30 Rock. He's also great in the Mission Impossible movies, and here I think that the Jack Ryan movie series would have been more successful with Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan. And yeah, he does a fantastic job in this one, and but let's get to the other roles again. It's also every time you're watching again, it's like, oh yes, Sam Neill is in, and Sam Neill is also amazing. And until the smallest part, this movie is so well cast. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård, like of course a European acting legend. Also in it, you had Josh Eckland as the Soviet ambassador.
Yeah, he when you see him, you think of diplomatic immunity.
Yeah. And of course,
he passed away just 2 years ago, and I was like, man, he was that old. He was like 95 years old. I was like, wow,
crazy. And of course, like for every action and stunt movie and strongman fan, Sven-Ole Thorsen also has a small role in it. He starts singing.
Yeah,
he just let the chart singing the Soviet anthem.
Another actor that I like, he had a pretty important role was Courtney B. Vance. You know what he played, the petty officer. Sonar operator.
The way that McTiernan set like the character up was also so amazing. Like he had like all the classical music stuff, so immediately you know that he has like in German we call it like absolutes Gehör, so that he had like a true hearing. So like he's really able to hear the nuances like in the sonar and everything. And thanks to him, like they even got the clue where the Red October is.
And that was the basis of the Red October, was that it had a caterpillar drive where they can go undetected. Nobody can detect them with the sonar, and that right there, like, you already has the advantage as a military squad to have this type of machinery in your submarine that you can go undetected and just go all the way across the seas to another country and just nuclear bomb them.
When you break everything down in war, when you have sides, of course, with similar technological strengths, etc., there's like two things that really wins a war. It's intelligence and logistics.
Yes. And that's
who is the best intelligence and who sucks at logistics as little as possible.
and that, to me, that's what made the Cold War stand out, because it was always a mental battle. It was always a mental battle, and it was always who can get the information the most.
Yeah. That's why
that's what made spies such an important part.
Yeah. That's why I choose like the part of the quote from Sean Connery. That when he talks about it, basically he said he widowed his wife basically the day they got married, because he's part of a war with no battles, no monuments, and I think especially for people like in the Air Force, like in the Army, and of course in the Navy, that this war must have been very frustrating, because you had to be ready at any day in case something would happen. But of course, because the nuclear weapons, it was very unrealistic that the Soviet Union themselves goes at war with NATO, because let's face it, doesn't matter which ideology. Nobody wants to have a nuked world because you don't want to rule over ashes. And so of course, like you had all this Stellvertreterkriege, these client wars, like in Vietnam, of course, and in Afghanistan. I think that Cold War is so fascinating, and I truly think, like you said, that the spy part of it is so amazing. One of my favorite new, I don't know if it still counts as a new movie, for me it does. I think Atomic Blonde covered like the espionage in Berlin so well, of course, based on the graphic novel The Coldest City. And I'm a big sucker for Cold War movies.
It's one of the reasons why I love the James Bond films, because James Bond was basically created based off the Cold War.
Yeah.
And that was the whole basis of a James Bond film, is setting within Cold War activities.
Of course, also very much based on the exploitations of Christopher Lee in the Second World War as being part of intelligence.
Yeah, so like the whole basis of Cold War material, there's a lot to dissect with it, in terms of both sides of the geopolitical parties, who's getting to advantage, who wants these nuclear warheads, and who wants to present their ideologies that saying our ideology is more superior than yours.
Yeah, and it's still the whole legacy of it still as honest we see nowadays, especially that a lot of the wars, for example, of course, with Ukraine and Russia, have like the roots in the Cold War and the demise of the Soviet Union. So I think we're gonna get a lot of movies about the Cold War probably again soon. Which of course I prefer having movies about wars that have no longer an impact on this world, because wars are fun in video games, wars are very much fun in movies. But in Austria we have like this nice the slogan of our military museum that always says that wars belong in a museum.
It's in the history books,
Yeah, and the wars belong in the museum, and we shouldn't start new ones.
There's a reason why nobody wants a World War III, because it's like the first two World Wars was such a massive event, especially the second one. Like, I mean, that's the whole thing with the atomic bomb.
I mean, once or twice a year, also in the city I live in, like there's still like people gonna get evacuated because they're digging up a bomb from like an American or British bomber.
Yeah. And
they have to defuse it. So there's still a lot of bombs like all around.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the thing that really sets this movie apart is the whole point of trying to create this subterfuge of we do not want the entire unit of the Red October to know what our true intent is.
Yes, because of course, like they said with Baldwin and later that the crew of the Red October, what they know from their intelligence, we have a lot of people there who are family of some high-ranking Soviet officials. And naturally, when you have a lot of people in there who are really, whether it's right or wrong, but who really truly believe that they're like on the right side of history, so to say, that they would rather saboteur the whole ship and take everybody with them before they're gonna let it go into the hand of the enemy. So I think this is like, this movie has does such a great job at having so many places of tension. Of course, the tension first that the Americans don't know, does he want to defect or is he gonna start like a nuclear war?
And that to me is like what drives the movie. And I love Ramus's character that he's very specific on how he say things to his crew.
Yeah.
Because he knows that if one slip up, they're going to look at him. And I love when he makes certain decisions, the crew members are looking at him. It's like, is he crazy? Is he putting us at risk? So there's already a little seeds of distrust within the crew on how they view his decision making.
Because of course, in military, and this applies to every military in the world. Military thrives on rituals, thrives on like having a schedule a day. And if anything is off what is planned, people get suspicious. Like there might be something fishy about the whole thing, and of course, which applies even more to the Soviet Union. You have like a whole system that is even more based on distrust, say something wrong, have somebody else say something wrong about you, and you might just disappear. Which I think another movie, the best comedy probably ever written, like The Death of Stalin, covers very well. And therefore, I really think that they cover like this atmosphere of distrust in a very tight space. And even though the Red October is like a giant submarine, no submarine ever is built for comfort.
and on top of that, they're not alone, because they have a second Russian sub commanded by Tupelo, who is a former student of Rain.
Yeah.
So that already says that, we're under close watch. And that's why the whole conversation between him and Putin was important, because Putin is
the political officer, like, on board.
Yeah, the political officer is like questioning him. He's seeing the book, he's looking at, what he's planning and stuff, and they know they both have the key, and Ramus he needs both keys to really take ahead. Yeah. He needs Putin out the way.
Yeah, he's so well written. I absolutely love, when Ramus says, there's a smart submarine, and of course, like, Putin answers with his like, your submarine, the submarine belongs to the people of the Soviet Union.
No.
Which is something so accurately that a political officer would have to say.
And it's true, because it's like the captain of a pirate ship. He like, how you want me treasure? And then the crew's like, no, it's our treasure. We are in this together. But the captain always thinks it's his treasure because he's the captain.
Our treasure.
So it's in line with how commanders act, and somebody got to set them straight. Like, no, it's our submarine.
Yeah, and that's of course, like in the Soviet Union, like, our has a way more broader, like, meaning.
And Ramus is like, I got to off this dude. But here's the thing. And this is where, like, questioning comes into play. The way he set up his death, where to say, he slipped on some tea and fell and broke his neck, that already leaves the cause for suspicion. And this is where Tim Curry comes into play, because his character always had this little, we need to inform the rest of the Union about this. And he's like, no, we don't need to do it. Yeah, because he's kind of fighting him on it, but then he realized he's beneath him, so he has to give in.
But I also really like that he immediately has the fake orders. Yes. So he burns the real orders and the fake orders, where he noticed that they're on their training mission, they have to keep absolute radio silence. So this order trumps the other order that they would have to report the death of a political officer. Which, this movie does it just so right. I absolutely love it.
And it pulls you in with just that whole sequence. It's like, oh, now it's about to get on. And when you realize, he's looking to defect, now it gets even. And I can see your point about how you kind of wish they could drag that part along and say, we don't know his true intention is, and then when we find out is when the Americans board him, and he said, I'm looking to join the defect. Then they're like, okay, now we know his true intention. But I guess McTiernan wanted it to be like front and center, because he wanted Ramus's plan to I want to defect, but I need to make sure I have the right people around.
I say, it's just like a minor thing, and in the end, everything worked out. It's one of the best movies ever made. I mean, the fucking soundtrack alone.
Yes. And another great scene, I like when Jack Ryan is consulting with Greer and the rest of the people in the office, the National Security Advisor, Jeffrey Pelt, is looking at what Jack is saying, and he's telling everybody to shut the hell up, let Jack speak, because he knows their arguments and stuff, but he's intrigued about what Jack is talking about. This man possibly defecting over to the United States, you know, and he says everybody else can leave except you, Jack. So that leads Jack into the whole mission that you need to get more evidence that this man is looking to defect.
Yeah, and also like I already said, Alec Baldwin plays it so well, and of course also like the whole gravity of the whole thing, where of course also Jack Ryan, he wants to be right because nobody wants to have a nuclear war, and also the way when he sometimes like tricks when he also sometimes gives false information to get the things that he wants, where he just like he gambles, and
a lot of people take the gambles.
Yeah, and like of course he plays the card that he wants Matt Ramius like on a conference. And from the analysis like he made there, he also thinks he knows what kind of a man he is.
Yeah.
And especially that at that point his wife passed away 1 year ago. He has no family, so if he defects, he doesn't have to fear any reprisal on his family. So this gives him like the freedom to defect in the first place.
Yeah, and while I would like to see a little bit more substance on that, Ramus's life and the whole family thing, because he's not Russian, he's Lithuanian.
Yeah.
So,
which of course like is a whole other kind of world, like because the Soviet Union is has like many different ethnicities. Most of them did not willingly join the Soviet Union.
So like he's not 100% tied to it. So now he has a way to get out of it. So like I said, the way they structured this movie, and I know some people.
Yeah, let's just say the Soviet Union was not kind to the people in the Baltic after the Second World War.
Yeah, and I know some people like can't really get into the movie because it's not the movie per se. But to me, what makes these movies work is the tension and the build-up of how these characters are going to get into this entanglement when it comes to figuring out if it truly is defecting or not.
Of course, the strength of the plot, and the plot is so good in this one. I still think that the other two true Jack Ryan movies, I'm not counting the Affleck one and the other one later, because those are like a whole different thing. But in the first like three Jack Ryan movies, I think that Hunter for Red Rover has like the best plot and also the best direction. The other two have good scenes, but don't work so well as movies for me. Of course, like the thing that ties everything together is like that you have James Earl Jones playing Admiral Greer in all three movies.
Yes.
With him having like the bigger parts in the first one and the third one. In the second one, would I say is more like a cameo?
That was my only disappointment with the second one. We didn't get more Greer in the second one.
Yeah.
And then by the third one, his character dies. Just like, come on.
But I also think the third one, what I enjoyed like in the end is basically that his dad gave like the big impact on Jack Ryan doing the right thing, when the president said, oh, we can also like put all the blame on Admiral Greer. And he's like, oh, no.
Yeah, that wait. Another great actor in this film is Scott, who played the commander of the USS Dallas, Mark Mann.
Yeah.
So, and I thought he did a great job, commanding the USS Dallas and his whole thing with Jack when Jack gets there. I know we're skipping a little bit, but I just love the whole seeds of trying to earn his trust while also taking risks and saying things that only Jack knows may pay off later on.
Because that's another fantastic thing about this movie. It doesn't only show like the distrust in the Soviet submarine, but it also shows the distrust, within on the American side. It's also not like there's just one opinion and everybody is a fan of the other. No, there's also very much about vanity, or about like, I know what I'm doing, and hence you can't know as well what you're doing as I do.
It's the same thing with Jonesy. He knows what he's doing when he's listening to the sound, but everybody else is kind of making fun of him. Oh, like, you listen to invisible stuff and stuff like that. But he pays attention to his instincts and what he knows what he's listening to. And he said, if he say he hears singing, he's listening and he's dissecting every sound wave that he can break down. And he said, I know I'm hearing this.
Yeah, and I think that is one. Also, it's still very much related, because also one of the important lessons, when you were in the military once, is it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. If you don't have the pull that high ups will also believe what you believe, then you can be right, but still they're going a different direction.
I mean, Rear Admiral Joshua Painter, played by Fred Thompson, he believed in Jack Ryan because of Jack Ryan's past, whereas the other guy is like, I'm not gonna believe this CIA dude, and he's like, no, Jack Ryan's been through shit. He's been on the field and he's got injured. He spent 4 years on the field with the injury and stuff, and he made it through. So we're gonna give that man the what they call
benefit of the doubt.
Yes, benefit of the doubt. We're gonna give him that, because he earned it.
Yeah.
So again, it's like this movie really knows how to tell a story and put the words in the mouths of these characters. They give them gravitas when they say things.
And the cinematography like really underlines everything of it. I absolutely love like the beginning of the movie on the Soviet submarine on the Red October, when you really see like all the crews, the camera goes back and you have this introduction scene of everyone. It's so fluid, it's so fantastic. And of course I already mentioned the soundtrack by Basil Poduris. And that's always so funny. I always believed that this movie was that John Milius wrote the screenplay of the movie, but he didn't. He wrote it for the third one. Yeah. But like the screenplay, it would scream John Milius, but he didn't write that one. But yeah, McTiernan, fantastic director. The soundtrack. I also think that I love James Horner. And his soundtracks for the second and third one were really good. Of course, being Horner, he also reuses some stuff in a good way. But I'm also a big fan that the same composer should stay on.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention is the submarine, the Red October track, and then the command of Ramis, and how he knows exactly when to turn and when to move. Yeah. And I like how even his own people in charge of running the submarine is like questioning him. Yeah. Like, are we gonna make the move? We're gonna make the move, and he says, now. And then they make that sharp turn, and they like everybody is tense, but at the same time he's calm and he's been through it a long time, so he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to that.
First of all, that, and I think the other thing is what they also show so well is the inevitability of the situation. You're in a submarine. It's not like you can run anywhere. When you're fucking hit by a torpedo, it's over. Yeah. So he of course knows that. Well, there's only one way to get out, and if it doesn't work, it's over anyway. I also really love that, that scene how nervous Tim Curry's character is. And that basically, he just holds something. It's like, because you can't run away, so it's just like holding something on the boat, like on the submarine.
I like when Raymond, when they do the sharp turn, everybody's holding on to something. Raymond just stops the tea from spilling over and say, "See."
In German, we have like this old saying where, God asked the stones, "Do you do your duty on a submarine?" And the stones said, "No, we won't. We're not hard enough." Which sums it so well up. Hey, Air Spider. That being on a submarine is just, I never was like in a submarine, but it must be the toughest thing ever. And the thing is also that that the U.S. Army thought that this movie would do like to the Navy what Top Gun did to the Air Force. But you know what? There's a huge difference. You fly, you're free, or you're fucking in a claustrophobic submarine. You can't make a submarine sexy.
I will say this. It's tense. It's a tense moment in both situations. Because you're way up in the air on the plane, and anything could go wrong in that situation. And you go crashing down to your death. Yeah. And then you're in the submarine. And we've seen it multiple times in this film. Something was damaged. Yeah. Somebody sabotaged the device. And all of a sudden now the submarine is in trouble. It's like, fuck, man. We underwater. If we fall too deep, man, it's messy.
The thing is that, with the Air Force, you have an escape pod. Like, shit hits the fan, you can't escape.
You can't escape.
You can't fucking escape a submarine. Like, if the submarine explodes, you're dead. If you're driven out, it's also like, it's not like there's... submarines usually are known for 100% fatality. You really have to. I think the only way to survive something is like to be like basically the ship is partly destroyed, so you can go up and you like it happened in the Second World War. Sometimes you basically put all your men on boats.
We'll discuss that because that was one of the genius parts of the movie. They got up to the top to let everybody out. That was genius.
And
but.
And that's also like usually what they did in the Second World War is when you basically abandon your boat and before the others, because there was like, of course, like you had to rescue the other shipment. It doesn't matter which side you're on. That's like a code of war. But of course, you don't want the ship to fall in enemy hands. So you basically evacuate your men and then you blow up your own ship.
Yeah. Another character I want to talk about is Vasily Brolin, played by Sam Neill. The second, he was the captain of second rank, and I thought he was fantastic in this film. I mean, Sam Neill is awesome in everything that he be in, but he was fantastic here. And the scene with him and Ramus talking about what's going to happen when they do defect over and how America is probably the most well thought out scene.
Yeah.
Because when you really think about it, like, what is it like to go to America and say, oh, I'm going to live here in Montana of all places. Like, my mind wouldn't think of Montana, but when you think of them, Montana is a peaceful state. And he's like, get an American girl, travel state to state. Is it free to travel from state to state and stuff? I love that conversation because they're talking about finally being free from the Soviet Union.
Yeah, and it also shows that, of course, like the knowledge like they had of the U.S. Basically, of course, it's not like they can just put on the TV and they see like American documentaries, of course, they can also only have the information about the US they got from what was available.
I like how you said, go to Arizona, and like, I'm gonna have to get a second wife.
And Sam Neill's character is so important because, of course, Sean Connery's character is so stoic.
Yeah.
So he doesn't show like any emotions. So Sam Neill's character, you know, he has 100% trust in Ramirez. Like he's loyal to the man to no end, but he gets nervous. Like he's worrying, you know, we have to about the man, etc. So, and he also, of course, has to defend him when other men are like having like mistrust. Like, of course, like rightfully mistrust because he's planning something. So Sam Neill's character is he's so important in that.
And I love the person that they're looking at, you know, like, do we trust him or not, like that? It's always the unknown that be the one that be like, really?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that you really like. That's why, you know, I like when they did go up to let everybody out, they like make sure they had a count on everybody, but they did not count for one person. And he's the one person you like, that guy is the one that sabotaged. Anybody could be a spy.
Yes.
Anybody.
And that's
the genius of movies like this. Like, they could have a child be a low-key spy if needed.
I mean, it's the best spy that nobody assumes is a spy.
So, you know, when anybody could be a spy, you really have to take into account of the whole damn crew needs to be expected, but you can't predict it.
Yeah, you know, again, especially like in Soviet Union, you would have to be so paranoid that you might be the spy. So you can't even trust yourself.
Yeah, so I that whole sequence was great. You know, I like Jack, you know, going towards from the ship to the USS Dallas. You know, they like, that's crazy. Why would we want to drop you off there? Because I need to get there. And that was a tense scene with him trying to get to USS Dallas. You know, things could have went wrong there, and he could have died. He could have died. But he took the risk because he needed to get on that submarine.
Yeah, and especially when the world's safety and the possibility to get your hands on this sort of technology is that, and then of course, like you gotta take some risks.
You gotta take risks, man, because when like you said, world safety is at risk.
Yeah.
There's so much to discuss. We didn't even mention Jeffrey Jones. He had a small part, you know, as the person knew about.
I mean, there's a reason why nobody want to mention it.
I know. But you know, he played a part.
He's a good actor and a very despicable human being.
We're used to seeing him in comedies, you know, in the 80s and 90s,
yeah,
like that. And like I said, this card in the
he plays the Holy Roman Empire in fucking Amadeus.
But this card in that, like, he knew about the propulsion system that the Red October had, you know, and he dissects on how important it is that we need to put this on alert, you know. And he does come back later in the film, but he doesn't really play a major role.
Yeah.
He only plays that one part at the beginning when Jack talks about the propulsion system. And that's the whole, like, genesis of the movie. Besides the defection of Ramirez, is that propulsion system, and the Russians, they're constantly saying we cannot let that fall into enemy hands, and that's why you have the other Russian submarine ship following them, and then losing track of them, and then gaining track of them, and then trying to take them out.
I
is like, Yeah, that dude is a renegade. He's went rogue on us. He's looking to destroy the U.S. coastline and stuff like that. So they're spinning it in the way was saying we got to destroy that fucking submarine.
The plan at the end was so fantastic that the other Russian submarine torpedoes itself.
But again, the torpedo was great because even USS Dallas tried to intersect and get the torpedo away from the Red October, but the torpedo y'all thought y'all got me away, but now I'm heading right back towards Red October. So it's like Red October had to make a decision to get towards the other Russian submarine to take them out.
I absolutely loved the ending, and I also really love like the ending of the movie. It's so great with the Soviet ambassador, of course, talking with the American delegation, and you wouldn't know anything about like the other submarine. But he tried to like, did you destroy it? And the counter was so good. You lost another submarine, and then he knows like, oh fuck, now. Because now it's becoming this this incompetent. So that's that was such a fantastic ending of the movie, like to really end the discussion from the Americans that you lost another submarine.
Yeah, because he automatically knew that Red October was destroyed. If he didn't get his submarine back, and they were trying to tell him like, hey, what up, Kenneth? That Red October was destroyed. Be like, well, what about my other submarine? Like, what other submarine? You ain't tell us about that.
Yeah. So, did you lose another submarine? And this is what I love about international diplomacy, where both know what is going on, but they can't directly say it.
Hey, can't pull out the cards in diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
But the big gut punch though was the loss of the second in command.
Yes.
That was a gut punch, man.
Yeah, because it's Sam Neill. Everybody wants Sam Neill to survive.
and when he said won't be going to Montana, it's like, damn, he was so close to his freedom.
Yeah.
Only for it to be taken away by the saboteur, who ended up being the cook. And earlier on, when Ramus was talking to Petro, Tim Curry's character, the cook was there, and he called the cook over there to tell him something. And the last thing we saw the cook was a certain look of his.
Yeah, I absolutely love this about this movie, because what I absolutely hate in a whodunit, if there's like two things that please don't play these fucking cards. First of all, the twin of somebody, like hell no, we're like way past that in storytelling. And the second thing is introducing a new character. Yeah, it's like those are two no-goes. So I absolutely love that when you rewatch the movie and you see like how the cook reacts to something and which scenes he is, that you can see, yes, this is something you could detect when watching the movie, and this is also why this is one of the best techno thrillers out there. It doesn't insult the intelligence. It is tense. The effects are amazing. The cast, probably one of the best cast movies in the history. You have so many people in minor roles that could star in any other movie. The soundtrack by Basil Poulturis, of course, is Basil Poulturis. He's gonna hand in a masterwork. So this movie is, I think it should be actually be there, maybe even one of the top 20 movies, best movies ever made.
When you mentioned about whodunits and stuff, remember when we talked Off Limits with William Dafoe and Gregory Hines, and how right, like almost halfway through the movie, you're like, oh, it's Fred Ward.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, they done messed up because they kept introducing new characters to say, oh, this could be it, this could be it. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, what? Because you're introducing these characters that don't really have an impactful saying.
Exactly.
And it's like it was disappointing because we enjoyed the film, but we didn't like the reveal when it was just already told us without them telling us. So
yeah, there's so many fantastic. Yeah, there's so many movies that could be fantastic but fall apart when it's about the real of the whodunit. Like there's this really amazing French movie. There's Die Purpurnen Flüsse. So I don't know how it's called in English. It's with Jean Reno and with Vincent Cassel. It's like this semi-occult thriller. But at the end, you have this fucking always the twin of the characters. Like, come on. And so, like, when there is like a thing with a whodunit, I'm always like hoping until then, please give me a good resolution. Don't destroy everything you built up and hunt for Red October.
I love Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, how they introduced Kevin Spacey as the one committing it. And then the whole thing that set up the ending was mind blown. Because
I have to rewatch Seven. I haven't watched Seven in such a long time.
Well, I to me, that if you're gonna do a whodunit and then reveal it, and then you set up his true intention for it, I'm like, okay, that was well done.
And you know what's the best part about it? The whodunit is it's just a subplot, and it's also already amazing.
Yeah, because you start looking at certain faces on Ramirez's squad, you're like, who could do it? You know, like even the man who was running the submarine, who was in charge of putting the coordinates and stuff, he was starting to get a bit tense and angry at certain points. You know, so we all know it's not going to be Selvin or Thorson because he's not going to do it. But you know, I love how the movie puts it in on who can it be, and then when you find out, like, oh, see, you don't think the fucking cook because he had such a small role, but he ended up being that person because nobody can detect that it's him.
Yeah, and also like that Putin has only been a small part in the movie, but also such a fantastic acting. You know, Peter Firth, like also like a legendary actor. It really, you know, it's
a shame that he got taken out so early because of how good he is.
Like really, every time I'm rewatching this movie, I'm like, yes, oh yeah, I totally forgot that actor is also in it because it's just a multitude of A-listing acting legends that are in there, and most of them like at the prime of their game. And then you have like Alec Baldwin in his first like breakout starring role.
Not named Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you really like look back at it, you kind of wish that he stuck with the character for those people because he fits the prototypical Jack Ryan look. Whereas Harrison Ford already looked old by the early 90s. It didn't look right when you watch this and then you watch Patriot Games as Harrison Ford.
Exactly, you know, when you watch Patriot Games, and especially when you watch what's the name again of the third one?
Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah, because the German title is way simpler. Das Kartell, the cartel. Like it's like they're actually I get that they simplify the title. Of course, it's the book title, the Clear and Present Danger. But yeah, and when you see him like in the action, it's just so unbelievable. Like in the shooter, I do have to say that it's a pity that they didn't make the spin-off movies that they wanted with Willem Dafoe as Clark, because also Clark is another John Clancy as another Clancy character, and Willem Dafoe, watching is like he would be a fantastic action star actually. This one,
like you could tell, like in the movie, he's underutilized.
Yeah.
Either like his own because he has the grasp of the character. It's just that the movie wasn't revolved completely around him.
Which the book actually has, like the book has more Clark in it, where he's actually the protagonist, and Ryan, I think, only comes in like halfway in the book.
Yeah. So it's a you wanted to see more of Clark, but again, we didn't get that spinoff, and it's kind of disappointing because William Dafoe could have really took off doing the spinoff of this.
And what I really dislike with the Ben Affleck movie, I think that they basically made him too much into a James Bond character, because what I think is one of the biggest strengths of the first three movies is that Ryan is a married man, and you also have like the family aspect in there. And by him making him basically like a bachelor in the fourth movie, I think that just doesn't work with this character.
The fourth movie is the prequel, though, right?
Is it prequel? But
because it makes no sense when you look at it for it to go from Harrison Ford to.
I mean, the thing is that they changed the timeline of a lot of the movies, like from the books, because actually Patriot Games would be the first Jack Ryan. So actually, Patriot Games would be the first one. I think that's in the chronology the first one.
Oh shit! I gotta look at the order then.
Yeah.
Shit, I always thought Patriot Games followed Red October.
In the movie version, yes. So basically, in the movie, yes, but in the books, like Patriot Games, I think is like the chronologically the first Jack Ryan story. So that's also why the books and the movies differ. So I don't know now if the fourth one is a prequel or not.
Shit, now I gotta do research on that. Because I always thought that when they went to Ben Affleck, there was like a younger Jack Ryan, you know, since Harrison Ford did the previous two. And I need to see if Morgan Freeman was queer in that.
Yeah. It's you say like you just Paramount did a fantastic job, even confusing comic book fans about a chronology.
Like I said, it's been a while since I watched the Sum of All Fears and stuff like that. Like I watched the Harrison Ford films and this film more than I watched Sum of All Fears.
Yeah, so, because just they feel like, you know, like for me, like the Ben Affleck one is still a new movie and it still has the stench of the time when it came out.
Hey, he still got the stench of the bully from Days of Confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and like I said, the one after that, I don't think I ever watched.
I also did, like, it's here in the box set, but I've never watched it. And it's also not based on a novel.
Oh, and so that's weird in itself.
Yeah, and I also haven't watched like the Amazon series with the Office guy, John Krasinski.
Yeah, this is actually something that I'm definitely gonna dive into because the whole chronological order of the Jack Ryan films and stuff. Because like I said, I do like the Harrison Ford films. Like I'm with you on they're good movies. They don't sum up to Red October, and I do wish Alec Baldwin would have stayed playing the character. But I do like the Harrison Ford films.
Yeah. And they still have great characters, you know, also like in Patriot Games, Sean Bean is so fucking intense.
Yeah, so like I still want to cover those two films in their own. The Sum of All Fears is gonna be the one that I'm like, all right, that movie I've probably seen once and haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah.
So if I want to revisit that, I definitely want to see how it is.
Yeah, we're sure gonna come back like to the Jack Ryan movieverse.
Yes, because
and I also think that Tom Clancy, he was not happy with Patriot Games and the other ones. I think he like got out of he didn't like the script for Patriot Games.
And I know Tom Clancy takes his stuff serious, though.
Yeah. And of course, it was also like the topic, so it were like not really able to get any Irish actor back in the day uh, because also when that movie came out, like it's not like there is no IRA today, and it's not like that the North Island situation is is anywhere close to being solved. It's still a very hot issue in Europe.
I really do think that The Hunt of Red October is a fantastic film.
Yeah.
It's one of those films that you can watch and gain more knowledge listening to the dialogue and stuff. And like the part where the American ship come to pick up the Russians after they abandoned the submarine and stuff. It's like I like when one of the submarines, the Russian submarine, gets blown up and they all take off their hats.
Yeah.
It's almost like they think it's either Red October that got blown up, so they still pay their respects, but it's a loss regardless.
And at the end of the day, that it doesn't matter who you're fighting for. At the end of the day, every soldier is a brother to the other one because they all have the same reason they're fighting for their country.
Yeah, regardless of who's right or who's wrong or whatever, you're fighting for your country, and you're gonna support your brothers at arms.
Exactly.
So
this is
just fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and this is also a movie I'm watching at least once a year. I think I still have to get the 4K of it. There's a 4K of it out. Might want to get that one for my next rewatch.
Yeah, but it even if it's not a spooky horror related, it fits the October theme.
It's October. It's Red October.
And it is definitely a great movie to pay tribute to the great late James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Fantastic actor. Throughout all decades, this man has like wowed us with his voice, with his acting, and I definitely want you to send me Conan the Barbarian again so I can re-upload that, because
absolutely we have to do
role
that
as Thulsa Doom is a lot of people's favorites, man. Like when they think of the first Conan, they think of Thulsa Doom and his performance.
Yeah. And of course, like back in the day, there was before the days of the internet, and also not a lot of people knew like the source material with Carl with Thulsa Doom, but getting like an actor like a character that's so differently written than in the source material, and still nailing him, basically making it like the version of the character actually most people first think of when they hear Thulsa Doom, is a detriment to his skill.
Yes.
And of course, like also, in the past we already of course talked a lot of fantastic roles from James Earl Jones, and you have so many different ones. Of course, like here he's playing basically the father figure for Jack Ryan within the CIA as Admiral. Then of course coming to America, the royal family patriarch. He does splendid, and then of course
it hits hard now that both him and John Amos are gone.
Yeah,
they were the fathers of the
two fathers of coming to America.
It hits hard, and now that, like I said, we re-uploaded Coming to America, the second one, and we saying that was just awesome with how King Joffrey Joffer went out celebrating life.
Yeah.
And now
absolutely
he went out the way he went out, his life was celebrated.
Exactly.
Same with John Amos.
Yeah, and that's the one to mention, like, and of course also comedic roles in Meteor Man. He just
Meteor Man was one of those movies that shocked me when I saw James Earl Jones with that high-paid wig on. But he was amazing in it.
Yeah, he was. And it really showed that, you have certain actors, of course, that have so much profile, like James Earl Jones, and he's still like, I'm doing that part because I like it.
Yeah, so many great movies, so many great roles. But like I said, there's plenty of movies we gotta talk with both him and John Amos.
Yes, of course. We already talked. We can also like maybe what's good. We could like re-upload that tribute, of course, with Conan for James Earl Jones, and of course Beastmaster for John Amos.
I rewatched that film and I'm like, God, I love the first Beastmaster.
Because of course it even like hits closer to have like two people who really made their mark in sword and sorcery, like sadly leave this plane of existence, and John Amos. I think of course James Earl Jones, he got like his due. He got very well respected. Everybody put him exactly on that high pedestal that he deserved, that he was. Still think that John Amos should be celebrated more. Of course, a very respectable actor, but like I always say, for my opinion, I think that Die Hard 2 is way better than Die Hard 1, and also a big part of it is John Amos' character.
Yeah, and I will say he's one of the greatest TV dads ever in Good Times. When they killed his character in Good Times, that show died to me.
Yeah,
because he was a strong black father who loved his family and stood by his wife and his son and all of them. So, every time I see a clip of Good Times and he's going to defend his son when people want to rip him off for his art, it's like that's what a father's supposed to do.
Yeah. I've only seen clips of it online. I don't know if it aired here or not, and I've not seen that one on TV.
But one of the greatest TV dads. He was the one TV dad you feared in real life because, you do not bring home a bad grade to him because he will beat your ass.
Yeah, for me the number one TV of course still Albani, but also of course Terry Crews.
Oh.
Every time I'm buying something, I think, is it really necessary? I think about Terry Crews. Everybody hates Raymond.
He got 2 jobs. Man got 2 jobs. But yeah, man, great discussion.
Yeah.
Great discussion. I love this film, and it was great to talk to you about it. Great recommendation too with James Earl Jones passing. It was a great way to kick off the month of October.
Yeah.
So next week we will start our spooky marathon, and we will talk Demon Knights. Yes.
Listen to your friend Billy Zane.
Listen to your friend Billy Zane, and to talk about another underrated cast. Jada Pinkett and William Sadler in it. So, but the movie is stolen by Billy Zane.
Yeah, but William Sadler is also it's always every time I watch it, it's he plays actually the anti-hero also so good, while also of course being a fantastic villain in the second Die Hard, along with John Amos.
Yes. Awesome. So I can't wait to discuss that film.
Yeah, Demon Knight is already have it ready down to be played.
All right. So I just want to thank everybody that watched us. I know people came and went, but Air Spider, shout out to you, man. Definitely check the movie out, Spider. You ain't seen it since you was 14. Give it a rewatch. Yeah. Kenneth Berg.
And that's because this is also one of the movies I think you can totally enjoy as a teenager. I watched it the first time when I was a teenager, but of course a lot of the political stuff goes over your head.
Yes.
Yeah, so rewatching it with knowing the history.
And again, it goes back to what we were talking about last week. The information is right here in front of us.
Yes.
When you watch movies like this, you want to go and research. I want to learn more about the Cold War and stuff like that. The information.
I'm gonna play some fucking Rainbow Six now.
That too. All right, man. We hope everybody have a great weekend. I'm not sure if the Common Call crew is going to be back, but hopefully, if we will be back, it'll be either this Saturday or next Saturday, because it hasn't been announced yet in the group chat. So,
but if you haven't watched it, watch the last episode, the open mic night. Fantastic.
And I'm hoping that guest show up again because he was awesome. So have a great weekend, y'all. Peace.